Here's the short version of our review of the 2023 Chevrolet Corvette Z06. It's the best American sports car ever made. How can we say this so definitively? What about the Ford GT? You might ask. What about the Dodge Viper ACR? We've driven them, tested them with our instrumentation, and we've tracked them, and they're both great cars. Each is a Le Mans winner in its own right, though Corvette racing has more wins than the two of them combined. The 2023 Chevrolet Corvette Z06 is better. Engine notes. As much as there is to talk about with the new C8 Corvette Z06, we must begin with the sacrilegious dual overhead cam, flat plane crank V8 engine. No, it doesn't burble like a cross plane crank V8. Because it isn't one. It does, however, make more naturally aspirated power than any production V8 in history. We're talking 670 American ponies. Fair trade, we say. Disagree? You won't. Not after the first pull to redline with the exhaust open. This isn't the banshee scream of an old Italian V8 or the monotone growl of a modern turbocharged German 8-cylinder. The 2023 Chevrolet Corvette Z06 sounds like the angriest person you've ever heard screaming at the top of their lungs. It's an unhinged war cry, all ragged emotion and zero conscious thought. It's also a happy accident. Originally, the Z06 was slated to have an exhaust system similar to the base car with tips at the corners, not in the center. But the center arrangement quickly proved to reduce back pressure and save weight, yet it still wasn't quite right. Taking turns driving an early prototype past their team, engineers realized the car sounded better from the outside than it did within the cockpit. Development delays caused by the global pandemic bought the team time to develop a new center exit exhaust system that also happens to be 20 pounds lighter. The big fix was the two-piece tips, which aren't the result of aesthetic cost-cutting but deliberate engineering. What appear to be separate trim rings are actually parabolic reflectors that send more noise forward to the cockpit. Now that the noise is out of the way, let's talk about what really matters. The way this engine delivers power. This is the high RPM, exponentially climbing, never-relenting power delivery that all-time great naturally aspirated engines are revered for. Low-end power is fine, but true excitement begins at 4,000 RPM. At 6,000 RPM, things get real, and it doesn't stop until you hit the 8,600 RPM redline. This is the kind of manic top-end thrust that makes your spine tingle, and it feels almost out of control as it just keeps building. It makes you wonder if you shouldn't short shift just so things don't get too out of hand, as if leaving it in gear until redline might somehow let the car get away from you. It dares you to stay on the throttle until you hit the redline, even when you're running out of road and really ought to consider braking. If you've driven a lot of modern supercars, you might miss the low to mid-range turbo shove, but you forget all about it when you get to the top end. This is what the pinnacle of supercars used to feel like, before the turbo revolution, when power meant engine speed and sound and fury. This is what makes Ferrari 458s more desirable than 488s and F8s. Chevy has seen the light, cracked the code, solved the riddle, however you wish to describe it. We thought in the year 2022 we'd seen the last of the great naturally aspirated V8s, and here comes Chevy with one final Hail Mary. Quick shift. On top of all that, Corvette engineers connected the V8 to a truly great dual-clutch transmission. It's a worked-over version of the one found in the standard Corvette, but the difference is palpable. The automatic shifting logic is better than it's ever been and functionally as good as Porsche's benchmark PDK. Pull gears yourself using the paddles, and it'll let you do anything short of over-revving the engine. Want to drop a gear and end up just 300 RPM below redline? Your call/mistake. Hell, it even slams gears. Absolutely would it. And the transmission bangs off shifts with a little kick between your shoulders. Not enough to upset the car in any way, but just enough to amp up the drama and make the car feel even more on the edge, even though it isn't. Top numbers. During the official launch event, we got to drive every flavor of the 2023 Chevrolet Corvette Z06 the company will offer. However, at the same time, Chevy shipped a standard Z06 convertible to our California test facility so we could run numbers on it in time for this story. It didn't have the Z07 package with sticky cup tires, lightweight carbon fiber wheels, high downforce carbon fiber aero package, or lighter coupe body style, so keep that in mind. In other words, this is what the base car can do. Just imagine what a fully tricked out Z07 will do when we strap our testing equipment to one. Start your run by using launch control. The car hits 60 miles per hour in just 2.6 seconds on the way to a 10.6 second quarter-mile time at 131.6 miles per hour. These are wild numbers for a base Z06 convertible with all the trimmings and base tires and the 100-pound heavier power folding roof. This convertible weighs a hefty 3,774 pounds and makes only 460 lb-ft. Not that you'll really notice the weight difference in the convertible. We didn't on the street or the track. Do so, however, and you'll quickly find other limits, such as the road and your own risk tolerance. Physics limits how fast you can go around any given corner, and the equation changes from vehicle to vehicle. As you approach the limit in any given car, then, you have to decide where your personal limit is. How much are you willing to risk to go a tiny bit faster? This question looms large on a track and enormously on public roads. Driving the 2023 Chevrolet Corvette Z06 fast requires you to reckon with this question constantly, because you quickly get the impression the car has more in it. It could go faster around that corner. Could you? Are you willing to risk the consequences of being off by an inch? Are your lap times putting dinner on the table? This car could bring glory, but needless folly is also on the menu if you aren't up to the task. Not that the Z06 doesn't urge you to chase that last tenth, hundredth, or thousandth of a second. Mid-corner bumps do not matter to this car. Want to use the curbing? Go for it. Slam off the red and whites. It doesn't care. There's an unfazable confidence to it, a feeling that it's impervious to big hits in the suspension, similar to what made us big fans of the 5th generation Camaro Z/28. This is a car that feels both light and delicate and also indestructible. Drive it hard, it can take it. Hopefully, the inevitable addition of power to the front wheels on coming Corvette models doesn't detract from the steering feel. As with everything else on this car, where the former Z51 equipped model was great, the 2023 Corvette Z06 is better. The steering response is immediate and pinpoint precise. The feedback is meaningful and helpful. And should you drop $12,000 on the carbon fiber wheels, a standalone option, it's better than most supercars on the road today. The squircle steering wheel continues to annoy some people, but shy of navigating parking lots and catching big slides, you shouldn't need to move your hands from 9 and 3 often enough to make it a big issue. Like the steering wheel, the only meaningful complaints we have about the 2023 Chevrolet Corvette Z06 are leftovers from the standard C8 Corvette. The wall of buttons dividing the cockpit is logical in theory, but even after driving a Z51 for a year, we still can't find the button we want without taking our eyes off the road. The wireless phone charger is still in a difficult to reach and easy to forget place. The power folding convertible roof completely hides the glorious engine. The trunk gets too toasty for groceries, and now so, too, does the frunk. And technically, the ride quality is worse than the base C8s. Chevy engineers say the springs are 35% stiffer on the Z06, 45% on the Z07. They could have fooled us. We put a solid 16,512 miles on our long-term C8, and we'd have guessed the Z06 is 10% stiffer, maybe 15. Yeah, it's a little less comfortable to road trip than the base car, but not enough to matter. Although those pedestrian concerns are all true, to dwell on them misses the point. This is the world-beating supercar we always wanted the Corvette to be. This is the formula that made cars like the Ferrari 458 into modern-day icons. It's what you get as a result of relentless focus on building the best traditional supercar possible, on prioritizing the driving experience over all else, but also making it a stone-cold assassin on the track. People say Corvettes aren't collectible because Chevy builds too damn many of them. That may be true, but this time, it doesn't matter. Chevy can build a million Z06s, and each one will still be worth any price the market demands.